we come to the very fun question this year. What's the very fun question? The question that year, students see the 8 marks. It's okay, Cambridge. I can give you back the 8 marks. What a fun question. Now, what do we know? A small business makes jewelry. Workers are paid a basic hourly rate with additional payment for each item they make. And these are the employment guidelines provided for the workers. Okay, none of that is important yet. Abid makes 7 pairs of earrings in 1 hour. Earrings, calculate the time he takes to make 1 pair of earrings, giving your answer to the nearest 10 seconds. 7 pairs in 1 hour for 1 free mark, please. What do I just do? Time taken is just equal to 1 hour is what? They want to the nearest seconds, right? And notice, I don't know why they never give the unit here. I find that to be very strange once again. You see everything they give unit, then suddenly this question they never give unit. I guess they want the answer in minutes and seconds. But I think they will also accept if you left the answer entirely in seconds. Okay? If you want to leave the answer entirely in seconds, then you need to know that 1 hour got how many seconds? 3600. So the time taken is, for 1 pair is 3600 seconds divided by 7 pairs to give me 3600 divided by 7. That will be 514 seconds to the nearest whole. And therefore, 510 seconds to the nearest 10. I am guessing that is what they want the answer to be. But because they never write unit, I think the reason why they never write unit is that they will allow students to also do this in terms of minutes and seconds. But obviously, it should not be in hour. If it's a minute and second, then you will divide by 60, right? 514 divided by 60. You will get the answer is it. So here's the interesting part. If you try to find the answer in minutes and seconds, right? Press this. You will get 8 minutes. And interestingly, 34 seconds, right? So it's 8 minutes and 30 seconds. You will realize that the answer is actually the same. This reads 8 minutes 34 seconds, but 34 you will round down, right? So it will still be 8 minutes 30 seconds, which is exactly 510 seconds, right? 510 seconds is exactly 8 minutes 30 seconds. So whether you leave the answer in seconds or whether you leave the answer in minutes and seconds, the answer is the same. Okay, they will accept both. That's why they never put the unit. So they don't penalize students who find in either unit. B. May makes bracelets. One day she works for 9 hours and earns a total of $231.75. Show that May make an average of 11 bracelets per hour. You have your primary school average question. She works for 9 hours. What do they tell you about basic rate? Your basic rate is $9.80 per hour. She makes bracelets, not earrings. Oops. Bracelet is $145 per bracelet. Okay, 1.45 per bracelet. I write it here so that it's easier to refer. And your basic rate is 9.80 per hour. So you can do this algebra, right? Let X be the number of bracelets. So 1.45 X, which is a bracelet times price plus 9.80 times 9 hours, right, will give me 231.75. Agree? So 1.45x is just equal to 231.75 minus 9 times 9.8. You will get 143.55, and therefore x is equal to 99, right? What did I forget? This is correct, but because I let x be the number of bracelets made instead of the number of bracelets made per hour, and therefore number of bracelets made per hour, you take your total number of bracelets, which is 99, you divide by the number of hours that she worked, which is 9 hours, you will get 11. Bracket shown. Okay, you could also let x be the number of bracelets made per hour, but I find that to be a little bit harder to work out. So I would rather find the total number of bracelets made and then go and divide by the number of hours, which is 9, to get the number of bracelets per hour. That must be from NDP. Okay, so nothing complicated about this. So you should at least get these 3 marks. And then students will get this 8 mark and be like, what in the world is this question, and die. Real world application question, very important to remember. You don't know how to solve the full question, doesn't mean you don't try. They are quite generous in terms of mark allocation for real world applications most of the time. The exception being this question. This question is quite specific. This question, unfortunately, is quite specific. Now, what do they tell you? In one day, notice that it's Chen again. So Chen started making necklaces. Then he or she, I don't know, sell a lot of necklaces. That's why the next year you go and buy solar panels, right? Build solar panels for the house. Then after that, the next year, then decide to start a business selling candles. Cambridge got something against people called Chen. Anyway, first things first. If you look at this question, Zachary, can you figure out what type of question this is? It's a rate question. So a lot of your rate questions in the word problem form will eventually become what kind of equation? Quadratic. This is a quadratic word problem. That is the first thing that students fail to identify. And if you don't recognize that this is a quadratic word problem, you are in deep trouble. If you know and suspect that this is a quadratic word problem, at least you can try something to try to form the quadratic equation, right? And actually, by forming and solving the quadratic equation, that will give you 5 of the 8 marks already. But that is only if you recognize that this is a quadratic word problem. A lot of students don't even recognize that this is a quadratic word problem, and therefore they don't bother trying to find a quadratic equation out of it. Die. Now, how do I know that it's a quadratic word problem? Because I got this. You know that this is a rate question. So let x be the amount of time in seconds that you takes to make a bracelet, a necklace. I can assure you, you will need all the space that they give you. You will need all the space they give you and possibly more. In exam, I told the students before, there is a page in your paper called a blank page. Yeah, wrong paper. There is always a blank page. Yeah, never scan the blank page. After the last page, there will always be a blank page. If you need extra space and you got no space to write, please go and write on the blank page. Please do not write on extra writing paper, because the examiner will throw the writing paper away. Then good job. Don't do stupid things. True story. Now, therefore, how long will Chen take to make a necklace? Chen's time will therefore be x plus 80 seconds. Agree? They then tell you also that they work for 8 hours a day, right? And this 120 is in 1 day, right? So if my time is in seconds, what do I need to do? How many seconds are there in 1 hour? There are 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. So Cambridge expects you to know things like that. So 8 hours is equal to 8 times 3600 seconds, which is equal to 28800 seconds. So if X is the time that Zhu takes to make one necklace, can you tell me how to find the number of necklaces that Zhu will make? What divided by what? Zachary. Not X divided by X is one necklace. So what should it be instead? If I tell you, so sometimes you're confused when we put in algebra form. If I tell you she takes 100 seconds to make one necklace, there are 28800 seconds in a day. How many necklaces can she make? What will you do? Yeah. So why I changed 100 to X, then suddenly you don't know how to divide? Got difference, man? No, right? Y'all cannot know how to do in numbers, but then I put in algebra form, then suddenly your logic throw out the window. It is always take the total time divided by the time per necklace, right? Which is 28800 over X. And therefore, what's the number of necklaces that Chen will make in 1 day? By the same logic, it's the same number of hours, right? Same number of seconds rather. But now it's divided by X plus 80, isn't it? Because she takes 80 seconds more. What? That's the reason why I leave it in seconds. I could leave it in non-seconds, but then I don't think it's easier. I think it's easier to express it in seconds. It's not X, it's X plus 30, X plus 80 here. And therefore, what's the total number of necklaces made in 1 day? Two eight eight zero over x plus 28800 over x plus 80. And the question tells you in one day, how many necklaces do they make? 132. 3 marks. 2 marks secure. Forming the equation up to this stage should give you 2 marks. Solving the equation is next. So anytime you see this kind of rate equation, you know that you will eventually simplify down to a... If you have foolscap, you may find it easier to write this on foolscap. I don't know why. Then Cambridge one, this kind of real world application question that requires you to write so many stuff, then they don't want to give you lines. Then bloody annoying. It's okay. I bet they have a fine time marking the question. Can you imagine the students' handwriting for this question? When they just give you one big empty space and you need to write all these things. How fun. So your total necklaces in one day is like that. And now this is a quadratic equation form that you should be somewhat familiar with, right? You need to make the denominators the same to form the quadratic. So this must be x times x plus 80. This must times x plus 80. Then this must times x. Then this must times x. Then this one, remember, it's out of 1, right? So I will times x plus 80. And therefore I will times x plus 80 to the numerator also. So this is what I should have. And now I can simplify this equation already. So 28800, because the denominators are all the same, I will just ignore them. Plus 28800x is equal to 132x times x plus 80. I don't know whether you can recognize, but because this number and this number is the same, right? What will happen is that this and this will actually just cancel out. But you must remember to multiply out the 80. Okay, no, it will not cancel out because it's plus, not minus. Never mind. If it's plus, then you just multiply out. So I will have 28800x plus 80 times 28800. Cambridge really testing the limits of a calculator question in this question. How fun. What a nice set of numbers to work with. Very fun. The number will be a lot smaller if you make it in terms of minutes instead of in terms of seconds. But I think in terms of seconds is more direct based on the question. But you could have changed the 80 seconds into 1 and into 80 out of 60 is 4 out of 3 minutes also can, but I don't think that makes it easier necessarily. It just makes the number smaller, but I don't think it's easier. Okay, over here, what do? We want our x squared to always be positive, so I move everything to the right side. So 132x squared plus, it will become a minus, right? Because I will have 10560 minus 28800 minus 28800. I will have minus 47040x plus 2,304,000. Yay! I simplified my quadratic equation already. You want to check how can it be simplified further, you just take 47040, you divide by 132, can divide or not? Cannot. What about 66? Also cannot. Can divide by 11? Also cannot. So I see this, you will know that this can be factorized one. Huh? Sorry, it's minus, not plus. Oops. Thank you. Bring over become minus, not plus. I will suspect that you can divide by 12 because 47040 cannot divide by 11, but it seems like it can divide by 12. If you want, you can divide by 12. Yeah. So you will get 11x squared minus 3920x minus 2304000 divided by 12 will give me 19200. Still such a fun number to work with. The equation cannot be simplified any further. But actually, there is, fundamentally speaking, no real need for you to go and simplify it any further either. Here, please don't tell me you want to tic-tac-toe. I will take the tic-tac-toe and slap you. What do I just do? 11 is my A, negative 3920 is my B, negative 19200 is your C. And you will realize that this expression actually can factorize one. It's kind of amazing, but it can be factorized. So I have negative 480 over 11 means this is 11x, right? Minus 480 means this is plus 480 over here. Then what's the other factor? This is x minus 400 equals to 0. So the expression can be factorized. Which means that in theory, this is actually a Sec 2 question if you think about it, because it can be solved by factorization. What a fun question. Cambridge, love your... And therefore, I will have x equals to 4 negative 480 out of 11, or x equals to 400, which obviously you will reject this value because time taken cannot be negative. Yay, we are down. I believe up to this point, 4 to 5 marks. I don't know how the rest of the mark allocation goes, but typically to get up to here, normally in normal quadratic word problem, it would have been 5 marks. Fun, right? It's not that bad because I'm going through step by step. Like you know how, my question is, you know how to start off the equation or not? You cannot even start off the question, then there's no fun to be had because your question will be blank. Now we come to the actual fun part. I now know that Chen will take 480 seconds, while Zhu will take 400 seconds to make one necklace. They work 8 hours a day. How do we tell, can they expect to earn the advertised minimum annual income? This is where things get very fun. What do we know? The employment guidelines say they can work a maximum of what? You can only work a maximum of 40 hours per week over 5 days. Okay, and you have 18 days of annual holiday paid at basic hourly rate. The expected annual income is at least 48,000. So you want to show whether it's more than or less than 48,000. So this is based on what? This is based on them making necklaces, right? So for each necklace that they make, they will earn $1.65. So what do I find? I need to first find the total number of necklaces that they will make. And then I multiply by the price that they will earn from each necklace, right? I also need to calculate what's their basic salary. How to calculate the basic salary? It's 40 hours per week. It does not matter the exact number of days. I'm not interested in the exact number of days. Actually, no, it makes a difference. How many weeks are there in a year? This is where all your assumptions have to start coming in. How many weeks are there in a year? So this part is a different part of the question already. Yeah. We now know that x is equal to 400 and therefore x plus 80 is equal to 480. So number one, assume 52 weeks. In a year. The question says that they work 8 hours a day, right? So if they work for 8 hours a week, it means they work 8 hours a day times 5 days, right? But they don't work all 5 days every week for every year. Why? What is their actual number of work days? Actual work days, yes, is equal to 52 times 5 days a week, but minus 18 leave days. Make sense? So 1 week they work 5 days, right? So 52 times 5, but then you need to minus the 18 days that they will be on leave. Why do you need to minus the actual 18 days on leave? Because it means that they actually only work 242 days. And if they only work 242 days, they only make bracelets, necklaces, not bracelets, on 242 days. One day, how many necklaces does Zhu make? So now I can go and split Zhu and I can go and split Chen. So we do Zhu first because she faster. Right? Zhu makes how many necklaces in one day? 2888. 28800 divided by x. Number of necklaces per day is equal to 28800 divided by 400, which will give me 28800 divided by 400. So she makes 72 bracelet necklaces a day. Therefore, her total annual salary. Number one, if you make 72 necklaces per day, you will multiply it by the 242 days that you actually work, right? And then each bracelet, each necklace that you make, you earn 165, right? But don't forget, that's not all the money they make, right? They work 8 hours a day, they are paid a basic rate, basic wage, right? It's $9.8 per hour. So you have your 9.8 per hour, which is 8 hours a day. How many days are they paid for? It is not 242. 52 times 15 is 52 times 15. 52 times 5 is 260 days. Can you explain to me why it is 260 days and not 242 days? Because the 18 days, they are still paid the basic rate. And so her annual salary is 72 times 242 times 1.65 that she makes from the necklaces plus 9.8 times 8 hours a day times 260 days. She will make $49,133.60. And it's an exact value, by the way. That is the way that you need to calculate it for sure. And therefore, yes, Zhu will make the advertised minimum. What about Chen? Chen makes 28800 divided by x, which is 400 plus 80, right? Because she's slow. Or he's slow. I don't know whether it's a he or she. Nowadays, cannot assume people's gender, you'll get cancelled. Therefore, what's her total annual salary? $60 necklaces times 242 work days times $1.65 per necklace plus 980 times 8 hours a day times 260 days. 4, 4, 3, 4, 2. Therefore, Chen will not make the minimum advertised salary. 8 marks. You realize the last part of the question is all logic. It is all logic. Your logical processing skill must be very, very clear. And a lot of students will struggle with it because you all never worked before, so you all don't understand how things like leave days and all that are counted, right? It's not something that is very familiar to you. And a lot of you don't even know that there are 52 weeks in a year. You all like to tell me 48 weeks in a year. How do you know there are 52 weeks in the year? One week got 7 days, right? There are 365 days in a year, right? So 365 divided by 7 will give you 52. It will always be 52 weeks in a year. You don't multiply based on the number of months. And Cambridge has repeatedly tested weeks in a year 3 years in a row. 2020, 2021, 2022, all the real-world application questions require students to know that there are 52 weeks in a year. So no reason for you to not know.